The number of COVID-19 cases is on the rise. Because of this, both British Council and IDP have started cancelling the tests. So once the lockdown is open, once everything is back to normal, there's going to be a heavy competition when it comes to booking the slots. There are so many people who wants to take up the IELTS examination. So if you're someone who has a preference to take a paper-based test, booking a slot might be very difficult for you. So what is the other option? Going for a computer-based test. If you are someone who has never given a thought about CBT, then this is high time you do it. So in this video, we are going to understand what a computer-based IELTS exam is all about, what is the advantages and disadvantages. And by the end of this video, you will be able to figure out whether you should definitely give it a shot or not. So let's jump into the video. Hey, my name is Ajay. I'm the founder of Maple Assistance. If you are looking to immigrate to Canada or if you're struggling to crack your IELTS, you are actually at the right place. Please do consider subscribing to this channel. If you're here for the first time, there are tons and tons of content waiting for you. Computer-based IELTS was introduced in the year 2018. Ever since the inception, a computer-based IELTS is receiving mixed reviews from the test takers. Before we go on, let us try to understand the advantages of taking a computer-based IELTS. There are quite a few advantages. The first and foremost advantage is faster results. In a traditional paper-based test, you tend to get the results in 13 days time. But wherein in a computer-based test, you will get your results in 5 to 7 days time. So how is it going to matter? If you are someone who wants to create a express entry profile, then you get a 10-day advantage over others. So what does it mean? So if your points is getting stuck with the cutoff score, then you know there is something called as a tiebreaker rule. And who gets selected in the tiebreaker rule? The person who has applied earlier. Am I right? So you get that upper hand over the others who have taken a paper-based test. If you're someone who's looking to apply to universities and colleges, then this 7 days to 10 days time might make a world of difference to you. Now moving on to the second advantage. All the modules of IELTS are conducted in the same day in a computer-based test. Wherein, when it comes to a traditional paper-based test, you're listening, reading and writing. Only the 3 modules happen on day 1 and the speaking module happens on a separate day, either before this test or after the test. So this will actually help you save a lot of time. And if you are a person who's going to another city to take up the test, then you can actually plan it in advance and you can go and come back on a very same day. So this is a big advantage to a lot of people who tend to go to another city to finish their test. The third advantage is you don't have to worry about your handwriting. I personally know a lot of people who tend to lose marks when it comes to the writing module just because their handwriting is not legible. When it comes to a computer-based test, you don't have to worry about your handwriting at all. It is all typing and the computer takes care of it. All you need to do is just express yourself. The last advantage of taking a computer-based test is more test dates. In a traditional paper-based test, it happens twice a month, wherein in a computer-based test, you will have more test dates, close to about 5 to 6 dates in a month. So literally you can pick and choose the one which is actually comfortable for you. So more dates, more flexibility, and you can choose anything that you like and you can go ahead. So these are some of the advantages of going with a computer-based IELTS test. Now let us try to understand the similarities and the differences between a PBT and a CBT. When it comes to the marking, the questions, the content and the timing, there is no difference between a computer-based test and a paper-based test. So I tend to hear from people saying that the computer-based test tends to be a bit more difficult when compared to a paper-based test. It is totally untrue. Both the things are very similar, the questions are very similar, and the marking system is one and the same, and the types of question and the format remains all the same. Now let us try to understand how each and every module is conducted in a computer-based test. The first module we are going to look into is the listening part. So in the listening part, you'll be given a high quality noise cancelling headset. The best part is you'll be allowed to wear the headset throughout your examination for reading as well as the writing module. This helps you to concentrate better. And coming back to listening, in the listening part, it is basically a 2-screen layout. You'll be able to see the questions and also the answers. You can actually highlight the text on the screen. You can actually scroll up and down, and you can go back and come forth, and you can click to any questions that you want. For example, if you are in section 1, if you want to look into section 3, you can just click and you can go to section 3. Likewise, you can jump between the sections and also the questions. But remember guys, the audio will be played only once, just like your paper-based test. You won't be able to hear the audio twice. So I request you to pay utmost attention when it comes to the listening to the audio part. Some of the answers you'll have to write it down, you have to type it down. Some of the answers you have to drag it down, and others like you'll have to check the boxes. If you want to undo any answer, just click the box once again. Or if you want to drag another answer into the thing, just drag the other answer and put that in the previous place. The second one gets replaced with the first one. So that's how you mark your answers when it comes to the listening part. And listening part, at the end of the test, you'll be given 2 minutes time to check your answers. And in between the listening test, you'll be given 30 seconds time to verify the answers and also to read the bunch of questions, which is very similar to a paper-based test. This is all about the listening module. Now let's go on to the writing module. In case of the writing module, you'll be given 2 tasks, task 1 and task 2. In a general test, task 1 is a letter writing question and task 2 is an essay writing question. Whereas in an academic test, task 1 is a report writing question and task 2 is again an essay writing question. The good news about the computer-based test is you can decide which one to start. So if you are someone who wants to start with essays, then you can start with the essays, right? So that is not possible when it comes to a traditional paper-based test. So they ask you to finish off task 1 and then they ask you to go for task 2. Wherein in a computer-based test, you have the privilege of starting off with an essay. And another big advantage when it comes to the writing module in a computer-based test is you don't have to count the words. So word count is a really important factor which contributes to your score in your evaluation, right? So generally in a paper-based test, we used to count the number of words and the number of sentences we need to multiply. We need to do all these calculations. But when it comes to a computer-based test, the word count is given there. So as long you can just keep typing it, the word count will show. So that is going to save you a lot of time. And remember guys, you will not have any access to dictionaries and you cannot use the spell check option. There is no spell check option when it comes to your writing part. So you have to make sure that the spellings are correct. And in the writing module, whenever you're approaching that 5-minute and 10-minute time, the timer will turn red and that will give you a clear indication that you're going short of time, and that will make you hurry up and write the answer. So this is how the writing module works in a computer-based test. Now let's move on to the last module, that is the speaking test. There is no real difference between a speaking test in a paper-based and also on a computer-based test. It's all one and the same. So in a computer-based test, you're not going to do the speaking test in front of the computer. You'll be doing it in front of an examiner. So it is very similar to a paper-based test, how it happens, right? So they'll be asking you a bunch of questions, you'll have to answer them, and they'll be evaluating you and they'll be giving you scores. So no difference when it comes to the speaking test in a computer-based IELTS examination. Here are some of the things that you need to know about the computer-based test. In a computer-based test, you'll be given a paper and pencil. So many people think that you cannot write in a computer-based test. No, that is not the fact. You will be given a paper and pencil. You can use that. It is really useful for someone like me who likes to scribble, make a plan before going ahead and writing an essay or a letter. So you need to understand one thing, like this paper and pencil you will be given in before every module, and once the module gets over, they'll be replacing it with a new one for each and every module. Next thing is that you have a bunch of tools on the screen, like to increase and decrease the font size, to change the volume, and to increase or decrease the brightness. You know, these things comes in handy. Like if you're someone who's wearing a specs and if you're not happy with the screen brightness, you can actually change it according to your comfort. The next thing is that when it comes to a reading and listening module, actually you can jump between the questions and the sections, right? So in listening module, I don't find a reason why you would jump between the sections when the audio has been played. But in a reading module, it comes in very handy. You will have a bar at the end, like all the 40 questions will be there in the bar. You can just click the particular question and it will take you to that particular question, right? So it comes in very handy, and you can also check all your answers. The next one is that, remember guys, I'm repeating this once again, that you won't be given 10 minutes extra when it comes to the listening part. So in a traditional paper-based test, you will be given 10 extra minutes to verify, transfer your answers from the question booklet to the answer sheet, and most of us we tend to verify during that particular time, right? But when it comes to the computer based test, you'll be given 2 minutes to check the answers, and after 2 minutes it automatically gets submitted. So 2 minutes is the time that you get to check and verify your answers. And the last thing about the computer based test is you have a on-screen timer and also a word counter inbuilt. That comes in really handy when it comes to the writing module, and the on-screen timer is really helpful to know how many minutes is left. So generally in a paper-based test, the clock might be somewhere far from you. You might not be able to see the clock, and you may not be able to plan your test accordingly. But when it comes to the computer-based test, that's a big advantage because the timer is right in front of your screen. So you can plan your test accordingly and you can go ahead and do it. So these are some of the things about the computer-based test. Now comes the big question. Who should take the computer-based test? Number one, if you're someone who wants to create an express entry profile immediately, then yes, computer-based test might be an advantage for you. If you're someone who wants to send the scores to the university or college to secure your seat, then yes, again, computer-based test is a very good option, a savior in disguise for you. If you're someone who's really good in handling the technicalities, who's really good with computers, laptops, clicking, dragging, typing, then yes, computer-based test is again for you. And at last, if you're someone who believes that your handwriting is horrible and you will definitely lose marks when it comes to writing, then please ditch the paper-based test and go with a computer-based test so that your writing scores are secured. And at the last, guys, if you're someone like me who's old school, who likes to touch and feel the paper and who likes to write and scribble, then in spite of all these advantages, I would strongly recommend you to go with a traditional paper-based test. So the choice is yours. Think about it, do a lot of tests, do a lot of research, and then decide which one you want to choose. I hope this video was useful to you. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends. And on the comment section, just tell me whether you'll be interested to take up a computer-based test or not. I'll be back with another video, guys. Until then, it is Ajay signing off. Take care. Bye-bye.